Las Vegas, Nevada, where millions are played, legends are made, and all your dreams can come true. But for 830 players, those dreams have already been destroyed here at the World Series of Poker. And now we're down to just 9, all of them looking to take home the richest prize in competition, $2.5 million.
I'm just out for the money.
$2.5 million is nice.
When I say it, my body shakes.
It's a pile of cash.
People saying, what are you going to do with $2.5 million?
Give me the 2.5, I'll shave my legs, dress up as a drag queen, and that's it.
Don't forget, there's the gold bracelet up for grabs too. All bets are off, so now let's put the cards in the air. The final day of the 2003 World Series of Poker is coming up next. Over 4 days and nearly 50 hours of poker have been played here at Binion's Horseshoe Casino, and the big payday is finally here. The crowd ready to witness a bit of history as the 9 surviving players have made their way to the final table. But only one will walk away with a bracelet and $2.5 million in cash. Hello, everybody, from Binion's Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Lon McCarron, along with sports columnist and tournament poker player Norman Chad. You know, the list of multiple winners here at this event is extremely short. 4 names, in fact. Johnny Chan, Johnny Moss, Stu Unger, and Doyle Brunson. But today at our final table, we have one man who has the opportunity to add his name to that elite list, Dan Harrington. He won this tournament back in 1995, Norm.
That's right, but that year he came to the final table in 2nd place. Today he has his work cut out for him because he trails Chris Moneymaker by almost $1.8 million. Moneymaker, the amateur, comes in as the chip leader, but perhaps even more astounding than that, he had never played in a live tournament before coming here for the World Series.
He has been the big surprise here, both to the players and the crowd. Someone who has not surprised anybody, that man Amir Vahedi.
Yeah, a tournament veteran with a lot of titles under his belt in tournament play. We also can't forget Sammy Farha. He usually prefers playing Omaha to Hold'em. He prefers cash games to tournaments, but he is a savvy, dangerous force here.
And we've seen Sam has never met 2 cards he doesn't love to play.
Shuffle up and deal.
That's Tomer Benvenisti getting us underway, who, like Sam, making his first championship appearance, juggles his job as an expedition tour guide with his love of poker. And in seat number 4 with a chip count of 360,000 is Yong Pak in 8th place as he comes to the table. Amir Vahedi taking a first look at his cards, 4 and queen, does not like what he sees. Over to Sammy Farha, 1 chip short of $1 million.
As we know, Sammy usually likes anything he sees. I think he's going to like ace, jack, suited.
And we're going to get our first bet at the championship table.
Oh, Sam, you little bastard.
David Gray tried to break the ice with a little humor. Jason Lester folds. The only former champion at the table, Dan Harrington, folds as well. Over to David Gray, his 19th World Series, but first final table appearance. He's got 9 and queen.
You're a nice guy.
David Gray calls.
Thank you.
When day 4 began, there were 45 players left. David Gray was in 43rd place with just 20,000 in chips and yet made it here.
Here comes the flop, 2, 8, and 6.
I'm first act. All right, I'll check it to big boy.
Now the number next to the player's name is the percentage that they will have the best hand should they both remain in the hand. Right now the advantage, of course, is Sammy Farha.
And they both check.
Here comes the turn card. It's an ace, and the check mark now next to Farha's name means he has the winning hand should he stay into the end.
Big hand over there.
They both check, and indeed, there's not a card in the deck that David Gray can get here to win the hand.
All right, check it to the 1 card draw.
That did give David Gray a pair of queens, but the pair of aces are best, and Farha bets 60,000.
Handful of money.
You're full of what?
Money.
Money?
Handful.
All right, fill you up a little more.
Gray feels compelled to call with his pair.
Sammy shows the aces, and Gray knows he's been beat.
You gotta get used to it now.
Well, that win on hand number 1 here at the final table puts Sammy Farha into the Millionaires Club, and that is just one way to play No Limit Texas Hold'em. Here's how you play No Limit Texas Hold'em. Everyone is dealt 2 cards face down. Players then bet, and for the first time must decide whether they're in or they're out. Next comes the flop. 3 community cards placed face up in the middle of the table that everyone can use. Players bet again. The dealer then reveals the turn, another community card, also called 4th Street. After another round of betting, the final community card is dealt. This is called the River, or 5th Street. One last time, players bet. Then reveal their cards. The best 5-card hand wins. But this is no limit hold'em.
All in.
And at any time, a player can go all in and bet everything he has. So at the World Series, every hand can be the hand that makes you or breaks you. Here's how our finalists stack up with their chips. Chris Moneymaker on top, 2.3 million. Vahedi and Farha each over $1 million right now. Action right now is to David Singer. He was 5th on that list with $750,000, a former environmental lawyer.
Singer with the ace-10. He's a cash game specialist. Just turned to tournaments this year and is already showing great tournament skill and betting $50,000. Amir Vahedi is in the big blind. In Hold'em, 2 players are in the blinds in every hand. These are 2 players who already have chips in the pot. This is to ensure more action. The big blind right now is 20,000. The small blind is 10,000, and those numbers will increase as the day wears on. And Vahedi calls with his ace-6, which is right now behind the ace-10.
Ready for the flop. It comes out 2-6 queen,
which gives Amir Vahedi a pair of 6s and the lead in the hand.
David Singer is going to make a bet, and it looks like 60,000.
And Vahedi shoots a glance over at him like, heck, I was going to bet. What are you doing? And Vahedi just calls.
So we're ready for the turn card now. It's an ace of hearts. Each player with an ace, but Vahedi with the upper hand. He's got aces and 6s. David Singer there checks, and the action over now to Vahedi.
And Vahedi, without hesitation, is going to bet.
And he's going to make it 90,000.
So 90,000 to David Singer, who does not have nearly the tournament experience of Amir Vahedi, one of the favorites here at the final table.
And look at this. David Singer is going to move all in.
And Amir Vahedi immediately calls him. Singer probably thought he was ahead. He's probably trying to trap Amir with his aces. Never could have put Vahedi on the aces and 6s, and now he's going to need a 10 or a queen or he's gone.
And here is the river card. It's a 7, and Amir Vahedi wins it, and David Singer eliminated. Pot size of almost $1 million goes to Amir Vahedi. And David Singer, the first player eliminated, for 9th place earns $120,000. And Amir Vahedi takes his first big pot of the day.
Listen, what goes on between me and him and Moneymaker is none of anybody's business. You're a cheerleader, you're a different class of people here. So you guys from ghetto, so
He's got a point. He's got a point.
so you guys sit there and watch.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. 8 players now remaining at the final table. 3 of them in the Millionaires Club right now. Moneymaker, Vahedi, and Farha. We get down to table action. Jason Lester on the left there will fold over to Dan Harrington. He's not going to play either. And then the action now to David Gray. Hole cards of ace-8 suited. Looks like he indeed will make a bet, and he does. 65,000.
He's been short stacked. Only about 90,000 left. Not a lot of maneuvering room for David Gray.
And over to our chip leader, Chris Moneymaker, next to act, considering. Tough spot to have the chip leader next to the guy who's short stacked.
Often the large stack likes to push around the short stack, and this time Chris is going to call with 5-4 offsuit. Very avant-garde hand, and speaking of avant-garde, here's Amir Vahedi.
And Vahedi will play as well with a suited 9-5 of diamonds.
All right, baby. Do something nice.
David Gray looking a bit nervous after those guys called.
He looks like he's expecting something not nice to happen. Many nice things haven't happened for him yet today.
3 players in the flop. Here it comes. It is Jack, 3, 5, 2 spades. Vahedi checks with a pair of 5s over to David Gray.
Moneymaker and Vahedi with a pair of 5s, but David Gray has picked up the nut flush draw.
In.
And he says all in.
Bingo. 89.
Well, David Gray putting his tournament life at stake right now.
When you go all in, you can't pick your spots when you have short stacks, so this is a good spot for him to go in, but you really don't want people calling you because he just has a draw. He'd like to take it down right now. Well, he's not going to get his wish.
He is not going to indeed. Chris Moneymaker calls with his pair of 5s. And the sweat starts to roll.
89. 99, you wouldn't even think about it.
Just below his threshold.
Just like a guy in death row. So I'm just like a guy in death row.
You've had to stay a couple times.
I've had a couple stays of execution, so I'm good with the governor.
Yes, sir. You came in with 22 over here.
That's right.
Well, he's hoping that governor gets reelected.
Yeah, but Amir Vahedi doesn't know from the governor. He seems to be stacking up his chips and like he's a potential another executioner.
Couldn't have raised $1 million and knocked him out.
And David Gray all in will get 2 callers, and he can't be happy about that.
I'm going. Maybe home.
Well, he knows his possible fate. We're ready for the turn card. It's a 4 of hearts, and now 2 pair for Chris Moneymaker.
And only a spade will save David Gray.
River card, though, is an ace of clubs, and while the 2 aces for Gray take down Vahedi, it does not beat Moneymaker.
2 pair.
And David Gray sees the 2 pair. He is done for this tournament. He'll walk away with $160,000 in 8th place and a very, very fine tournament for him.
And the body count continues to grow for Chris Moneymaker. He's become the Terminator, knocking out another player.
Well, as a new face in the poker world, everyone really having a tough time reading this man, the Tennessee gambler, Chris Moneymaker.
I sat down this tournament, I didn't know a soul. Pretty much every pro that I played against in this tournament, they tried to come in and say, you know, listen, I'm here, I'm the pro, I'm gonna run this table. And they like to read people's motions and get a read on somebody.
I know you want to take those sunglasses off.
When someone new comes in, it's hard to do that.
Eliminated.
I'm sorry.
How's it going, Chris?
It's running pretty good. I have a lot of chips. I try to play real conservative. If I'm short stacked, I play aggressive. It all depends on the player and the amount of chips. If you're stuck in one playing style, you'll get pegged on it, and it's going to make it very difficult for you.
Norm, so far, Chris Moneymaker using his newness to a great advantage. We've seen other guys do that as well.
Yeah, the amateur, it's hard to read, and also the amateur doesn't have as much pressure as the professional, which is an advantage.
It's getting a little empty over here, isn't it?
Chris Moneymaker referring to the player on his right and his left who have been eliminated. Tomer Benvenisti is not seeing a lot of good cards so far. Will not play this hand either. Over to Sam Farha as he checks his whole cards. 1 deuce, 2 deuces.
He always sees good cards.
He does.
If those are from an Uno deck, he would play them.
And he will indeed play. He bet 60,000. Yong Pak will not join the party. Over to Jason Lester. 2 sevens. Jason likes to think about it.
He is more deliberate, and both him and Dan Harrington are more conservative players, don't play as many hands. Jason will play the pair of 7s.
And Dan Harrington, I have a feeling, will play this. Not seen a lot of action from Dan. That's just the type of player he is.
Yeah, he's very conservative and seldom out of line. Same with Jason Lester.
Does that make him easier to read overall?
It would seem to be. When he gets in, people generally tend to drop out, but then he'll turn that on them later in a tournament, and he'll shift gears and he'll become more aggressive. He's a smart player.
So now the action back after Harrington has a 200,000 raise over to Farha. If he wants to call and stay in the hand, he does not.
He doesn't. And Sammy actually knows that the 2 players who are in the hand right now, again, tend to play less hands, so he's probably beat at this point, and he correctly folds.
Over to Jason Lester now. Are his 2 sevens worthy of a call? And they are. So over 600,000 in the pot now, and ready to see a flop. Just Lester and Harrington. And here it comes. 2, 9, and Jack.
No help to either player.
The action now to Jason Lester for a bet, or not.
Jason Lester and Dan Harrington know each other very, very well, particularly from their backgammon play. They both are champion backgammon players. Sammy now, look, he knows he would have made a set of deuces if he stayed in. He's brooding about it. I mean, this guy doesn't muck his cards when he goes to the bathroom.
Exactly.
So I was thinking, geez.
What has he lost is what he's wondering.
And he says he'll move in, which means he's moving Dan Harrington all in. Harrington with fewer chips. And I'm sort of surprised Lester's doing this because Harrington doesn't play that many pots. Quickly, he will move all in. And he's way ahead in the pot, Dan Harrington.
And even before I think Harrington's cards are turned over, Lester knew what he was in for. Now the turn card comes. Queen of clubs.
No help to Jason Lester. He's going to need a 7, and a 7 would knock Dan Harrington out of here.
The river card, ace of diamonds, does not do it. A huge hit to Jason Lester, but Dan Harrington, the former champ, doubles up. He's over $1 million now.
Nice race, Dan. I love everything here.
Huh?
I flopped the set. Everything comes here.
Wow. Nines?
2 deuces.
Oh, 2 deuces. Oh, yeah.
Almost called it.
An opportunity lost for Farha, but Dan Harrington takes full advantage as he joins the $1 Million Chip Club in the process.
My name is Tomer Benvenisti. I was born in Israel, and I live now in Las Vegas. I take people on tours to exotic places such as Antarctica and the Arctic, on ships, expeditions. I love that the most. And in between that, I play poker.
I don't think you have no limit in here. There's nothing in here.
Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win. I'm not gonna say how much I would take that for the IRS purpose.
It's a close match. It's a close match. Tomer, that's me.
A lot of great poker players, they're also great gamblers, and I don't mean that necessarily as a compliment. They lose a lot of money, but that's how they want to live their life. For me, I don't want to live that way. I want to have 2 lives, the poker life, the travel life, my wife. That's what means something to me.
And there is Tomer's wife, Joanne. They reside here in Las Vegas, so it's an easy jaunt over for the cheering section. Tomer started the day at 922,000. He's not had a lot of cards to play, down to 645 right now, and he does not see anything he likes in this hand, so he'll pass. Yong Pak, likewise, not going to play a lot of cards normally, but does not like what he sees. He folds as well. Over to Jason Lester, and he likes what he sees. King Ace, and that will earn a 60,000 bet. Chris Moneymaker folds. Action over to Amir Vahedi. Having a good final table so far.
And the King Jack suited is going to suit him well.
He'll call the bet. You see Vahedi and Farha with unlit smoking devices just as a prop. No smoking allowed here at the World Series.
And Vahedi right now behind in the hand. They're sharing the kings, the ace ahead of the jack, and they both have flopped 2 pair, but Lester with top 2 pair. And Vahedi has checked.
This could be dangerous for somebody.
Oh yeah, aces and kings for Lester, kings and jacks for Vahedi. A commanding position for Jason Lester.
Not only because of what he has, but also because of what Amir thinks he may have.
Correct. And I mean, actually, Amir, only a jack is the only card that helps him now, but he can't possibly know that. He's got 2 very good pair.
Ready for the turn card. It is a 6 of spades.
And Vahedi checks. Surprisingly, this is a kinder, gentler Amir. He normally would be much more aggressive with kings and jacks. Maybe he's afraid of the ace on board, or he just might be slow playing his kings and jacks in his mind.
Very deliberate is Jason.
Yeah, I think he would take like 5 minutes to make a 3-minute egg.
140,000 is the bet from Jason Lester. And now the heat on Amir Vahedi.
How much more you got left?
About 3.
So he checks on Jason Lester's chip count, nearly 300,000.
Amir thinking about putting Jason in harm's way, perhaps.
Yeah, Amir actually might have been slow playing his kings and jacks, thinking he's best.
I'll put you all in.
And he is going to put Jason Lester all in. So it's up to Jason Lester now. His tournament life would be on the line if he calls. And of course, with aces and kings, he's in pretty good shape. He might not know how good a shape he's in.
Tables turn now on this player. He, a moment ago, put Dan Harrington all in, and now Vahedi has put him all in. Pot size of 880,000.
Call.
He's going to call it.
Call.
Vahedi says 2 pair. But Jason turns over and says, here's the real 2 pair, aces and kings.
And you see Vahedi knows it, ready for the final card. Only a jack is going to help Vahedi. It's a 4 of clubs. And Jason Lester can breathe again. Tough hit for Amir Vahedi. And a big boost for Jason Lester.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard from my cheering section.
There is his cheering section. Tanya Clark, Jason Lester's roommate, and they do underline roommate, both very much single. A big win for Jason Lester, the newest member of our Millionaire Club.
It's fun to be all in.
It is. There's no worries. There's no decisions to
Right.
make. I mean, it's,
Welcome back to the World Series. Amir Vahedi has dropped below 1 million. He's still mulling over that last loss in his head. As we've seen, he is an animated player who likes to talk and at times doesn't mind showing his emotions at the table.
When the hand is going on, no, you don't see the motion. But when I win the hand, of course you get emotional. That's how you got balls, baby. Come on, baby. The game is on. Come on, baby. It's a big time tournament. You win a hand, you lose a hand. How could you be emotionless? I am destined to win this tournament. More than that is a sense of competition. Every time you knock out a great player, it's just getting a sense of satisfaction. You know, that's the beauty of this game. In order to live, you have to be willing to die. See this guy.
Vahedi living and living well, though not as well as he was a few moments ago. Of course, anytime you get to the final table here, you're having a successful World Series. It'd be interesting to see how he reacts to the adversity he suffered recently. As we begin play on this hand, Sammy Farha, a couple of 9s.
And he bets 60,000.
Dan Harrington, king and ace. Got to think he'll play this. He does call the bet. Chris Moneymaker, our chip leader, not seen a lot of action so far at the final table, but he will dip his hand in here.
Yeah, not a great hand, 10-9. He's actually stayed out of the way most of the time. As the chip leader, you don't want to risk a whole lot. You want to be ahead in the hands instead of behind.
Amir Vahedi with an offsuit 10-8 is going to call the bet. Interesting.
No, he was in the small blind. 10-8 offsuit is not much of anything. He's just fishing.
The flop is going to come 9, 4, and 6.
And it is a powerful flop for Sammy Farha, who's got a set of 9s and now is in command of this field with 3 9s.
4 players, more than half the field in this hand.
And Sammy comes out betting strong on this one, 80,000. Flop no help to Dan Harrington, so again, he will get out of harm's way and let the others kind of take each other down and hopefully move up the ladder as they take each other down.
Chris Moneymaker reaching for the stack. Looks like he is going to call the bet, and he does.
Yeah, he's got a pair of 9s. It's the top pair on board. Of course, he's behind Sammy Farha, and he kind of likes the amount of chips that are in there right now, so maybe that's why he's calling this moderate bet. Oh.
But he's going to stick around.
He's got an inside straight draw. And he's fishing without a pole. He's got nothing, and he's staying in this pot.
All right, here comes a turn card. It's a 6.
Well, the fat lady has just sung.
Wow.
Sammy Farha cannot be beaten this hand, as the check indicates. He has a 9s full house over 6s. But Vahedi is acting quite quickly. He's going to take a stab here. He's going to bet $300,000. What he doesn't know is he has no shot of buying this pot line. Sammy Farha is not leaving this hand. If a nuclear bomb were to drop, Sammy would still hold on to his cards. Another thing, you saw how quickly Amir acted. When you bluff, sometimes you act strong, like you have something. So he moved his chips in real quickly, and that often is a tell that you're bluffing. And he has nothing.
I don't think there's any question Sam Farha is going to play it. Just how much now? And he does just call it.
He decides to call rather than raise, probably trying to induce both the others to come in.
It's a Chris Moneymaker.
You gentlemen have fun.
Good judgment there on Moneymaker, going to stay out of harm's way himself. And Amir's now drawing dead into the, I mean, he's worse than drawing dead. He's drawing 6 feet under. There's nothing.
3 of clubs is the river card.
And this time Vahedi checks.
And that's his best move of the hand, Norm.
Yeah, a better move would have been to have taken a phone call about a minute ago and drop his cards off in the trash can on the way out.
So now Sam Farha deciding how much to push. We know he's got to push him. And it's a 300,000 push.
Yep. A 30-cent push should have taken him over the ledge. Let's see what Amir Vahedi wants to do with that $300,000 bet he's got to call. He's going to his chips? Well, what is this? I mean, the poker police should come and arrest Amir Vahedi right now. It's like a poker DUI. At this point, it's just a posturing maneuver by Vahedi. He's not possibly going to call this. Look at, oh my goodness, this is from the Lee Strasberg acting school, and I think he's a dropout.
Well, he's got 450,000 committed to this hand. He lost 550 in the previous hand, so he's trying to salvage anything he can.
It's time to cut your losses, though.
And that's exactly what he does. The rich get richer. Sam Farha collects another $1 million at the expense of Amir Vahedi. Sam Farha, $2.1 million plus.
You were in trouble the whole way.
No, I don't think so.
At the other end of the spectrum, it's taken only 2 hands for Amir Vahedi to lose 1 million chips. Welcome back to Binion's Horseshoe Casino. Cards have already been dealt. Yong Pak has decided to go all in with his ace-10 and 160,000. He started the day a bit richer, so he's got to be bold or be gone.
Yeah, he's had to go all in 7 times today. He's been short stacked all day.
Jason Lester has ace-king, and he decides to call it. And Dan Harrington is not going to play. Nobody else does either, and so we've got Pak and Lester.
And the ace-king for Lester ahead of the ace-10, the higher kicker with the ace.
2 more aces, though.
But still the king kicker ahead, and he's going to need to get a 10 to get a full house, Mr. Pak.
It's a jack.
Now he's picked up a heart draw, plus he could get a jack or a 3, and they would have identical full houses and split the pot.
The river card is an 8 of clubs, and it is not good enough to keep Yong Pak in the tournament. He is eliminated. Jason Lester picks up another fine pot, and Yong Pak receives congratulations around the table. Well deserved just to make the final table. Finished 7th place and $200,000. Another boost for Jason Lester, though, as he continues to add to his pile. He's one cool customer, and like everybody else at this table, plays with his own style.
Yeah, let's take a little break.
Jason Lester, Jasonlester. My poker style is similar to my personality. I'm a pretty quiet player.
Can you tell me what he has?
Broadcasting your hand over the TV screen.
I like to sort of analyze things and keep them to myself and be in control of my emotions. Poker has some intangibles that other games don't. It has a lot of psychology and an incredible amount of luck. A couple of times I would have been out, especially the hand against Phil Hellmuth.
I call it. Just queens, Jason.
Just queens beats just jacks.
I was like 25-1 underdog to even stay alive at that exact moment in time.
Lester still looking for a jack, or he's going home.
Oh, he got it!
Unbelievable. Wow.
It's been a tough week, but it's exciting to get to the finals, and whether I come 9th, 5th, or 1st, I don't want to look back and say we didn't play well. I want to just, be myself and be calm and play some good poker.
Norm, there's no doubt that all of these finalists have played great throughout the tournament, but nobody gets here without a little bit of luck.
No, everybody in a tournament final table 1, 2, 3 times during the course of the week or the day. You're going to have to go all in and get very lucky on the river to stay alive.
Or you just try to increase your odds and play every hand like Sam Farha does.
That is the Sammy Farha blueprint, and he's the aggressor already here with his ace-5.
Moving over to Jason Lester. He's been catching kings today as well. This time it's paired with a queen. And it looks like he will join Sammy Farha. They have been coupled together throughout the day. King Queen. Call the 70,000.
And Dan Harrington. 70 total? Lester and Harrington were in the blind, so they're already partly into the pot. And they both are going to play pretty decent starting hands against Sammy Farha.
Everyone else around the table folds. We'll have a flop with 3 players. And it comes out 10-10 king, and Lester gets matching kings.
And he takes the lead. Dan Harrington has a straight draw. He would need a queen for a straight, and he checks over to Sammy Farha, who at this moment has the worst hand of the 3 with the 3 cards on the community board.
And what does that tell you about Sammy? That he'll make a big bet.
Yes, he's going to fire another bullet. He fired one before the flop, and now he's going to fire another one after the flop.
And that's why I enjoy watching Sam Farha so much, is that he is aggressive. He follows up on his aggressiveness with more aggressiveness.
And a much different playing style than these two gentlemen, Lester and Harrington. Much more closer to the vest. And as we've mentioned before, Jason Lester very deliberate, trying to figure out whether he wants to call Sammy right here.
The bet was 120,000 from Sam Farha. Jason Lester, you see the percentage as the holder of the best hand so far. And he does call. And rightly so for his sake.
Now, Dan Harrington, with both these guys in front of him, it's going to be difficult, and he will get rid of it. He, again, playing conservatively, let other people kind of chop at each other at their chip stacks, and Dan will be safe. He only had a draw right there.
The turn card is a 9 of clubs and a straight draw now for Lester.
Yes, he has the top. He has 2 pair. He now has an inside straight draw. He's going to check again, and the action will go to Sammy, who bet before the flop, and he bet after the flop.
We have to remember here that Farha really has nothing, only an ace high, where Lester has 2 pair and an inside straight draw.
Sammy has been aggressive up to now. He'll be aggressive again.
250.
And this is tremendous. He's fired 3 bullets now, and usually the aggressor is sometimes rewarded in Hold'em. He fired 1, he fired 2, now he's firing a 3rd time, and he does want Jason Lester to go away.
The pot over 700,000, as you saw, would be a great boost. Relatively speaking, a bigger boost to Jason Lester than to Sam Farha, who has a huge chip advantage over Jason right now.
Jason trying to figure out what Sammy can have. The 9 of clubs is kind of scary. It might have given Sammy a straight.
And Jason Lester is going to muck his cards and gives the pot to Sam Farha, who now tops the 2 million chip mark.
Sammy has bought the pot with nothing. That's the smile of a cat burglar.
Boys, you better fasten your seatbelt. Still steaming. For the next half an hour, I'm steaming.
When I stop seeing the smoke from your ears, I know that it's...
See, I can't put a cigarette right now in my mouth. I'm steaming. I'm scared it might light. You can't smoke here. I might light it by mistake.
Back to Vegas in the World Series of Poker. Chris Moneymaker still our chip leader. Sam Farha making a move, though. And Sam Farha is still steaming, as he mentioned earlier on, and why not? He's got another ace, this time paired with a queen, but Sammy is picking up the aces.
Yeah, and an ace-queen he's more hot than steaming as he continues to pick up some pretty good cards.
So the action is to Sam Farha, whether or not he wants to make it big or make it nominal. He's going to make it 100,000 with his ace-queen. Jason Lester is not going to join the hand. Now over to Dan Harrington, 1995 champion. He folds as well. And now to our chip leader, Chris Moneymaker.
We haven't seen Moneymaker play a lot of hands. He's been conservative today as the chip leader, and it's a smart strategy. He doesn't put his chips at risk unless he thinks he's ahead. And with the 6-8 suited, this one he's going to play.
Interesting call. We have a flop between Farha and Moneymaker. Comes king, ace, and 7, and another ace for Sam Farha.
And the pair of aces makes Sam a 9-1 favorite, but he checks, and they both check.
On the turn, it's a 5 of diamonds.
And Chris Moneymaker picks up an open-ended straight draw here and comes out firing for $100,000. Sammy, of course, still ahead with a pair of aces.
And Sam raises it, 300,000.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of scuffling by Moneymaker right now, and now he's put in a couple of $100,000 into this pot already, and's got to consider whether he wants to put 300,000 more. He's been pretty protective of his chip lead.
But right now, a little bit loose, I'd say. He's going to call that bet from Farha.
It is a little loose, just on a draw.
Over $1 million in the pot right now between Chris Moneymaker and that man Sam Farha. Now for the river card, an ace of diamonds. 3 aces now for Sam Farha.
So no straight for Chris Moneymaker. The 3 aces would be best, and it will be Moneymaker's decision first. And he's reaching.
Has he been bored? Is he feeling like he has to make something happen?
Nah, I think he's making a play here. He's going to make a stab at the pot.
400,000 is the bet from Chris Moneymaker to Sam Farha.
He's figuring maybe Sammy Farha, who plays a lot of hands, maybe he was on a draw and he missed. So sometimes you don't play the cards, you play the man. I tried that during my first marriage and I lost. And now he doesn't know that Sammy's got a good hand.
Well, Sam, of course, calls it, turns over his cards, and Moneymaker knows he's been beaten by the 3 aces.
And that's the first chink we've seen in Moneymaker's armor today. First time he's gotten involved in a hand he probably should have gotten away from and gave up a lot of chips.
And they all went to that man, Sam Farha, who had almost $3.3 million as your new chip leader at the 2003 World Series of Poker.
I'm used to talk a lot in a poker game.
Amir is a prince. I don't appreciate his talking to me.
I like to play with their heads.
You can count, buddy. What's wrong? Come on. You'll be committed suicide. It's your first visit here to Las Vegas, or the best?
This guy is crazy. I don't want to play.
I play so many hands for a reason. That gives me a read on you. You might beat me 2,000 a hand.
Chucky, easy on me. Be careful.
But if you have 100,000, I will get it in one hand.
Oh! He called 35,000 more with Queen Jack. What the hell's going on here?
And that's why they're scared of me, good players. They think I'm dangerous to them.
Don't bluff him. Get the hand first.
And that's the difference I have.
Well, he is dangerous indeed, and he's not bluffing that he is dangerous.
Nah, he's got a great look. I'd love to die and come back as Sam Farha.
And not just because of the chip stack.
Exactly.
Tomer folds. Our chip leader Sam Farha folds. Jason Lester folds. Dan Harrington in the right corner is not going to play either. Over to Chris Moneymaker, our former chip leader. And he will play a 100,000 chip bet on a couple of 4s. Over to Amir Vahedi, who has not been nearly as aggressive as he usually is since he lost 1,000,000 chips in 2 hands. Now he's looking at ace queen.
Yeah, he's had to sit on his hands a lot, and he loves getting involved in a lot of pots usually.
Right now, Vahedi taking his time with this one. It's 100,000 to him from Moneymaker. And Amir is going to push it all in. 430,000.
Sammy Farha appears to be resting his eyelids.
The bet now back to Chris Moneymaker.
I'll be interested to see what Moneymaker does here, because other than that Farha hand we saw, we haven't seen him put his chips at risk when he has marginal hands.
This is brutal. This thing could go to 2 o'clock in the morning. I've just hit the wall.
Dan Harrington talking to his friends about how tired he is. An overlooked factor of this poker tournament over 5 days. So far they've played almost 60 hours. Not only do you have to be at the top of your game mentally, but physically as well.
Sammy's sleeping at the table.
Look at Sam. Some guys dream of pocket aces. Sam probably dreams of bluffing with a 7-2 offsuit.
Well, Chris Moneymaker lays it down. Vahedi's supporters cheer. Maybe a wake-up call for Sam Farha, but maybe also for Vahedi, who's been down on his luck. You like that move by Chris?
Yeah, Chris Moneymaker might have been rattled by that loss to Farha, and he may be on the downslope, but I think he showed very, very good discipline here in not getting involved in another risky pot with just pocket 4s. Nice play.
More from the final table in a moment. Back to Vegas. Join this hand in progress. 2 players in it. Jason Lester, Sam Farha. Lester with the advantage, 2 10s to Farha's ace queen. Flop is out 2-8-6 to Sam Farha. Sam checks, and that moves the action over to Jason Lester. Jason had raised 200,000 before the flop that Sam Farha called. And now he decides to move it all in, 305,000.
And that's bad news for Sammy Farha. This hand much different than when we saw these two hook up earlier in the day. In that case, Sammy Farha had nothing and kept firing away and ended up bluffing and winning the pot. In this case, when Sammy had bet before the flop, Jason Lester had raised him, meaning he had a good hand. And then after the flop, Sammy's hand went to dog do. He's got nothing with that flop. The problem with Sammy is that he'd rather take 3 years off the back end of his life than muck a hand like ace queen suited. That's exactly what he does correctly. He doesn't risk his chips with a marginal hand there and doesn't jeopardize his chip lead.
Nonetheless, he's hurting that he didn't play that hand.
You wanted to bust me, didn't you, Sammy boy?
I had a big hand. Game trash. A huge hand I had. Almost moved in before the flop, but I said I'll take a flop, and if I hit, you go block in.
Well, at this point, I believe everything Sam Farha says. And you're right, Norm. If he'd stayed in that hand and lost it, he would have lost his chip leadership, too.
Well, Sammy, with an ace up the sleeve as usual, starts out this hand with ace 5.
Amazing how he draws those.
Send me to work.
Comes out betting and talking.
Again, poor Jason Lester has to act after Sam Farha. This time he's going to fold. Harrington folds. Moneymaker folds. Over to Amir Vahedi now. Checks his hole cards. Not an astonishing 4-6, but they're suited.
And suited connectors are hands that both Amir Vahedi and Sammy Farha often like to play if it's inexpensive.
And for Vahedi right now, fairly inexpensive. He'll call the $80,000 bet from Sam Farha. And so we'll have Vahedi and Farha in the flop. And we're ready to come out. I see an ace, 9, queen, and ace. Farha gets another ace.
And Farha goes from a 3-2 favorite to having a near stranglehold on the hand.
Amir Vahedi is going to put over 500,000 chips in the pot with a 4-6.
I am stunned. It's a 4-6. You know, I love watching Amir Vahedi play, but I don't know how long we're going to see him play when you go all in with a 4-6. And it's not like he only had $35,000 left in chips. He had $535,000. He could do damage with those chips somewhere down the line, but he's decided to make his stand right here. I just don't get this.
Amir Vahedi, we saw earlier with maybe some would think a suspect play with a 10-8 offsuit.
Yeah, suspect would be generous on your part, Lon. He has really played loose and fast, and I'm just stunned at how he's continued to play these hands.
Well, Amir has told us time and time again here at this tournament, in order to live, you have to be willing to die.
You let go against him, let go against me too.
Have a hand.
And Farha, who I was pretty sure was going to call, once he heard Amir say that, decided that's a bluff. It was like a tell, and he said, I'm going right in.
And Amir embarrassed to turn over that 4-6, and his days are numbered in seconds now.
Yeah, he's going to need 2 running hearts, or he's going to need a 4 and a 6.
Comes 9 of spades.
And that's it. Aces up for Sammy. No card on the river can help Amir Vahedi. He is gone.
Considered by many to be the favorite here at the final table, once the chip leader at the tournament. He had almost 2 million chips at this table today, eliminated $250,000 parting prize. But Sam Farha is the big winner so far at our final table. He made some great moves to take over the chip leadership from Chris Moneymaker. Farha, top of the heap at 3.2 million. Moneymaker, 2.45. Harrington and Lester each over $1 million. Tomer Benvenisti has some work to do. We've been at it for over 7 hours. Just 5 players still alive at the final table. $2.5 million still very much up for grabs. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran, inviting you to tune in next time for the conclusion of the 2003 World Series of Poker.
It'll be a long one. Let's hope. The longer the better. Yeah.